Okay, people, here is our review for your section 9-1 quiz. Okay, so this is what you did last time in class when I was there. And then now we're going to review for the quiz over this. So, what type of triangle is it? Scalene, isosceles, or equilateral? Well, looking at it, kind of does not look equilateral. So if we just measure all the sides, do the distance formula for all the sides, we can figure out what kind of a triangle it is. AB. Now, here's the shortcut to the distance formula. Okay, the distance formula you normally take x2 minus x1 squared, y2 minus y1 squared. But you can just say, well, in the x direction I go 2, in the y direction I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get from point to point. Okay? So it's basically just 2 squared plus 5 squared is how far I went. It's basically the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? So AB is 4 plus 25, which is the square root of 29. Now, BC, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over and 2 up, which is again 5 squared plus 2 squared. Same thing. 25 plus 4, or the square root of 29. So I got at least an isosceles. Let's see if it's equilateral. AC. I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and down 1, 2, 3. So it's 7 squared plus 3 squared. If you want to say, well, it's negative 3 squared because you went down, that's fine. Because when you square a number, it becomes positive. So it's really not a big deal how you do it. But we get 49 plus 9, or the square root of 58. So now I know it's an isosceles triangle. Okay? When you measure all the sides, you can figure out, or find the distance of all the sides, you can figure out what type of triangle it is. Scalene are no congruent sides. Isosceles is 2 congruent sides. And equilateral is 3 congruent sides. Okay? So, now it asks, is this a right triangle? Well, to figure out if it's a right triangle or not, the angle that looks like a right angle, we gotta see what the slopes are. Okay? So I need to know the slope from A to B. Okay? The slope of A to B. So its slope is, if this is x1, y1, and x2, y2, it'd be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is 1 minus 6 over 3 minus 1, which is negative 5 over 2. So if we go, now this looks like a right angle right here, but to be sure, we got to figure out what the slope of BC is. So let's make this one x1 and y1, not x2, y2. So if we go y2 minus y1, 1 minus 3 over x2 minus x1, 3 minus 8, we get negative 2 over 5, no, positive, negative 2 over negative 5, which is a positive 2/5. There we go. These two slopes are opposite reciprocals. So they make perpendicular lines, so yes, indeed, this is a right angle. So if it's a right angle and a right triangle, it's easy to find the area. You take the two sides that surround the right angle, okay, the two sides that surround the right angle, and go 1/2 the base, square root of 29, times the height, square root of 29. So square root of 29 times square root of 29 is 29. Half of that is 14.5. And that is my area. Okay? So the first couple problems will deal with a triangle like that. where you have to figure out the distance of each side to figure out what type of triangle it is, and if it's a right triangle or not, and what the area is. The next couple problems deal with this, figuring out whether it's a parallelogram and what type of parallelogram it is. Well, to figure out if it's a parallelogram, we got to figure out if the sides are parallel. So we're going to find the slope of ST. So take ST and find the slope. Let's make this one x1, y1, this one x2, y2. So y2 minus y1, 4 minus 8 over x2 minus x1. x2 minus x1 is 8 minus 2. So you get negative 4, 6, which is negative 2/3. The one that looks parallel to it would be RU. So then let's make this one x1, y1, and x2, y2. So y2 minus y1, 1 minus 5 over x2 minus x1, 7 minus 1 is negative 4 over 6, which is negative 2/3. So these two are parallel. And then to check if the other two are parallel, sometimes it's easier just to do rise over run. Okay, from R to S, we rise by 1, 2, 3. We run to the right 1. So it's 3 over 1, which is 3. From U to T, we rise 1, 2, 3, run to the right 1. 3 over 1, which is 3. So these two are the same. So we have two sets of parallel lines that are opposite sides. So yes, this is a parallelogram. Now, is it a square? Well, you can just look and see the distance formula. If we go 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over. 4 and 6 is a different distance than 1 and 3. So it's not going to be a square and not going to be a rhombus because not all the sides are the same. And to figure out if it's a rectangle or not, we got to see if these are right angles. So we look at the slopes again. The slope of RU from here to here and the slope of UT from here to here. RU, UT, these two slopes, are these opposite reciprocals?